Alrighty, think I think we're good. Okay, awesome. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy wherever you are. My name is Khalilah Davis, and I am a senior here at Creighton University studying finance and marketing. And I'm also the senior business peer advisor in our career center here on campus. So again, thanks for tuning in. Today, we are going to go through AI hiring systems, tips to get the job. If you have seen this presentation or heard this presentation before, I did do this actually last year around November for some students. And so, yes, the presentation is looking a little bit different. I revamped it a bit, and I'm so excited to just share with you all some tips on how to get the job and a little bit about AI interviewing in general. Alrighty, so we're going to go through an overview of today. So we'll start off with an introduction to AI, and then we'll move into how do AI interviews work, and I'll give you a little bit of an insight into the algorithm itself. And then we'll move to, are AI interviews helping or are they hurting? I'll give you some time to practice, and then we will close out with some virtual interviewing do's and don'ts. Alrighty, so what is artificial intelligence, or AI for short? It is the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages. So in a roundabout way, what that means is that AI makes use of machine learning to mimic human intelligence. Alrighty, how do AI interviews work, right? That's what we're here for. So one of the things that I'm going to mention most is HireVue. So HireVue is the most commonly known AI-powered recruitment platform. There are so many other platforms as well. This is definitely not the only one, but it's definitely the one that when I've mentioned it, people have heard the most about. And there are so many companies that actually use this platform. So Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Unilever, Under Armour, Sodexo, so many companies. And per HireVue's website, the process is really easy and simple. So you just need a camera, so you can use your laptop. You can use a tablet. You can use your phone even, if that's easiest for you, as long as you're in a space clear of distraction. So whatever you want to use is fine. You have 30 seconds to prepare your answer when you're using this platform, and then you have 3 minutes to record your answer. So if you look over to the picture on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see a gentleman. He's looking great. He's doing his interview. He is recording his response, and you can see the response time bar is actually ticking down or loading, whatever, down from 3 minutes. So again, once you are done with that question, you'll just move on to the next one, and you'll continuously do the same kind of process throughout. But before you actually record your response, you'll get 30 seconds to kind of collect your thoughts, read the question, and record whenever you are ready after or before those 30 seconds are up, right? So if you're nervous, don't worry. You have a few minutes to practice before actually starting the interview. So before these 30 seconds occur, before you even start your interview, you have some time to go through a couple of practice questions, get familiar with the software, get familiar and get relaxed and comfortable, and then you can head into your interview. Now, depending on the company, you may be required to play a series of games after your interviewing process. And so that is just an assessment. That's another feature of HireVue. And so they do the interviewing and the assessment all in one. And so not every company has a game or an attachment after the interview, but just know that that could be a possibility. Alrighty, this is actually my favorite part, getting to look at the algorithm and kind of learn how it dissects things. So AI trained video interviewing technology analyzes so many different functions and so many different factors to select the most suitable candidate. That being said, some of the things that it picks up on and that it looks for are facial features, moods, expressions, and intonations. And so if you are shaky, or if you are fidgeting a lot, or you're looking around the room, or you just don't seem very enthused at all for your interview, it's getting picked up through this process. HireVue states that its system dissects the tiniest of details of candidates' responses, and then they compile a report that companies can then use to decide who to hire and who to disregard. Now, the one thing about this platform, right, is that it doesn't give you a score, and it doesn't give you feedback after your interview. And so it doesn't tell you you were looking around a lot in this question, or you were fidgeting a lot in this question. So you have no way of knowing that after the fact. And so that can kind of be a little nerve-wracking, right? Well, according to an article in the Washington Post, a simple 30-minute HireVue assessment includes half a dozen questions, so only 6 questions, but it can yield up to 500,000 data points. That's crazy, right? Knowing all of this, I can understand how that might be scary, or kind of make you think, oh my goodness, am I doing all of these things and I don't know about them, right? At the end of the day, it's just an algorithm. Do not worry. Hiring managers can use other factors besides a HireVue score to determine which candidates can pass the first round. Okay, so no worries. Alrighty, we're gonna move into, are AI interviews helping or are they hurting, right? So let's look at the helping side first. Reduced time to hire and ultimate flexibility. So these kind of go hand in hand, because instead of saying, oh my goodness, we have so many people to interview, they're all over the country, they are all over the world, different time zones, right? Now, instead of one recruiter being tasked with trying to figure out time zones and things like that, they're able to just say, send out a link, here's your HireVue interview, you record it whenever you can, and then once you're done, we will watch the video and then we'll get back to you, sort of thing. So there's definitely a reduced time to hire, and it is really helpful in making sure that they can reach more people quickly. Consistent decision making, right? So no matter what, every single candidate who's interviewing for the same company will get asked the exact same questions. There's no different wording in the questions or anything. It's the exact same question, the exact same time to answer the question, right? And so it kind of makes sure that everything's on a level playing field. And then, like I mentioned previously, there's that adding aspect of video interviewing and assessment all in one. So maybe before it was, hey, take the assessment. If you do okay on the assessment, then here's the interview. And now they can actually do everything all in one. So it's no longer that process again of trying to figure out when people can do things and when they can't. Alrighty, so keeping in mind the helping side of things, now we can look at, well, is AI interviewing actually hurting us? So I want you to kind of ponder over the fact, what does the perfect employee look and sound like? That's really difficult to pinpoint, right? I can't even come up with an answer because I don't think there is an answer. So AI researchers say that analyzing a human being with this strategy could end up penalizing non-native speakers, penalizing those visibly nervous employees, and then penalizing those candidates who just don't fit the mold, whatever that may be. I could see that. That's kind of difficult, right? And not being able to really control those things. It's okay to be nervous, right? And especially there are a lot of people who are non-native speakers, right? And so that's difficult, and that's kind of hard to just analyze a human being on those things. So that could be a drawback maybe of AI interviewing. Meredith Whittaker, who is the co-founder of the AI Now Institute, and it's a research center in New York, stated, "It's a profoundly disturbing development that we have proprietary technology that claims to differentiate between a productive worker and a worker who isn't fit based on their facial movements, the tone of their voice, and their mannerisms," right? So that kind of goes back into the penalizing people for these really, really small things that a computer is picking up on. And so that all of that in conjunction kind of maybe is hurting more than it's helping in that sense. Alrighty, now I'm going to give you all some time to practice. What I want you to do is pause this video right here. I want you to get out a tablet. I want you to get out your cell phone, whatever you can to record yourself. And I want you to record yourself answering the "tell me about yourself" question. We all know this is a question you're going to get asked in an interview in some way, shape, or form. And so this is something that we should really be practicing so that we're comfortable with answering in a concise manner, right? So why am I having you record this? We're talking about AI interviewing and video interviewing, so I kind of want you to get comfortable with that. But also, I want you to have a tangible thing to take away, and I want you to be able to go back and watch that recording. I want you to see if you're sitting at a desk, are you slouching, or are you sitting up confidently, right? If you are in your mirror or wherever you are you looking around the room as you're answering the question, right? Are you staring at yourself in the reflection and not making eye contact? Or are you looking directly into the camera as if it was the person right in front of you and answering the question to the best of your ability, right? So I want you to kind of get comfortable with that. And so after you're done recording, come back to this video and continue on. But take your time. If you need to do a couple of takes, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you watch it afterwards, because that's really going to help you pinpoint those things that may need some work. See you on the other side. Alrighty, so we're almost ready to close out. We are going to finish up with some virtual interview do's and don'ts. So let's look at the do's first, and then we'll move over to the don'ts. So when you're doing a virtual interview, and this could apply to your AI interview, like on HireVue or something like that, but it also just applies in general to virtual interviews, so Zoom or Skype or wherever. So make sure that you find a space where you are unlikely to be interrupted. I know if you're an undergraduate student or even a graduate student, if you're living in a residence hall or an apartment, there are a lot of things that we can't control because it seems to always happen when we're doing something important. That construction is going on, or there are sirens in the hallway, or outside, and there's just a lot of noise that could happen, right? And so a lot of those things are out of our control and they're external factors, but making sure that we just find a space where we're unlikely to be interrupted. So if you are living with a roommate, maybe that's going into your room if you have a separate room and telling them, hey, I'm doing an interview, just to let you know, so that they are aware. So maybe they're not making noise. Or that's if you are in a residence hall here on campus and you are just living with a roommate, maybe that's telling them, hey, I have an interview. Just wanted to let you know I might be done around this time, so that they don't walk in mid-interview. or it's finding an alternative space to do that interview, right? So it takes some planning, definitely, on your part to make sure that you're in a space where there's less distraction. I cannot stress bullet point number 2 enough. Please test your technology beforehand. It is so important. We know that interviews that are virtual, there's always going to be some lag, right? But we want it to be as seamless as possible. And so one way that we can do that is making sure that we can access the software that we want to use and making sure that we know how to use it, right? So don't worry if you have to play with it a little bit before to get used to it. I would rather have you do that than trying to troubleshoot the day of. So definitely test your tech and make sure that you have a secure internet connection, please. Alrighty. So number 3, have questions prepared. Now, for your higher view interviews, I don't believe that you have the chance to ask any questions at the end. In fact, I'm pretty sure you don't have the chance to do that, and that's okay. However, if you're doing a virtual interview, so the person is still, right in front of you and you're answering questions kind of in that live time, make sure that you have a couple of questions. If it's no more than, what are the next steps? Or, how do you define success in this role, right? Have something, because you're interviewing them as well to make sure that they're a good fit for you, just as much as they're interviewing you to make sure that you're a good fit for them. So make sure that you are asking those questions appropriately to get an answer. And then dress to impress. I know if it's a Saturday morning and you have to do an interview, right, it could be a little chilly and you may just want to snuggle up on the couch with a blanket and just record your interview from here up, right? No one else can see anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I want you to still have in that mindset of, this is still an interview, whether or not it's virtual. And so making sure that we are still dressed appropriately, that our hair is groomed, that we are ready to go, and that we are dressed as if the person was sitting right in front of us, okay? And finally, make eye contact, right? So we already talked about with AI interviewing, they pick up on your facial recognition and they can track when you're looking around the room and all of those things. But for virtual interviews, still make sure that you are staring into the camera. Obviously, don't stare completely. Make sure you're blinking and everything. But make sure that you're not over here. On Zoom, it's very easy to do and just kind of stare at yourself and not make eye contact with the other person. But the person is here, so maybe making sure that you're kind of at least looking in this range of the camera, so that way you're more often than not making eye contact with that individual. Okay. So moving on to the don'ts section. Avoid spaces with multiple windows. So by this, I mean, it's okay to have a window. I have a window over here to my left, for instance. That's totally fine. But one thing that I would say is try not to be in front of a window or behind a window. So if you're sitting down, try to make sure that maybe you're facing a wall and that you have a wall behind you, because if you had a window in front of you, it's very easy to be answering a question and just look out the window at whatever is going on, because it's just such a beautiful day, right? And that's what we want to do. But we also want to keep eye contact. And then if you're sitting in front of a window, it's very easy for the employer to, while you are responding to their question, to kind of be looking out the window at some of the things that are going on behind you, right? And you have no idea what's going on behind you because you are trying to answer the question. So making sure that we're in appropriate spaces for our interviews. And also, don't have a distracting background. I totally get decor, right? I love decorating. But sometimes things are on our walls that are not appropriate for employers to see. So I suggest for the time being that you take it down. If you have something on your wall that could be deemed inappropriate, you take it down or you find another space where that will not be behind you or in your vision. And making sure that it is a clear background and making sure that you are focusing on the employer and that the employer is able to focus on you without having crazy things in the back. Don't have the camera below eye level. So I know this one's kind of hard to do sometimes, but it takes a little bit of playing with your screen, or it could even be a matter of taking some books and just sticking them under your laptop or your tablet or whatever device you're using so that you can make sure that you are able to look directly into the camera and you're not having to reach like this and it's not here below your eye level. And finally, don't wear overly bright colors or distracting jewelry. Try to keep your jewelry to a minimum. It's okay to wear earrings or like a simple necklace, right? But we don't want huge, bold, flashy necklaces. And we also don't want really noisy bracelets or things like that. And then those overly bright colors, so neon, love the neon color in general, but maybe not appropriate for an interview. Okay, well, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for sticking it out with me and going all the way until the end. For more information, visit any of these websites, look at any of these articles. I highly suggest the first one, the Creighton University Career Center website. So many resources are available for you there. So definitely take a look at it, whether you're sprucing up your resume or you just want some networking and interviewing tips. You can find it all right there on the website. And finally, go rock your interview. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And you are ready to go. And now you have a little bit of insight into AI interviewing. So you have a little bit of an upper hand, right? So if you have any questions, reach out to the career advisors in the Career Center, or you can email me at khalilahdavis@creighton.edu. You can also reach out to our peer advisor, Laura Kirsch, in the Career Center at laurakirsch@creighton.edu. She is so wonderful and awesome. She's ready to help anyone any way she can, and we really appreciate having her there. All of the career advisors are awesome as well. They would love to see you virtually, and they would love to help you out. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you. Have a good day.